Hello and welcome, BlivCorp audience. You are watching BlivCorp Reviews Fishing Games in 2022. So I'm going to start out with my top pick overall. This is Ultimate Fishing Simulator. I happened to get this game while it was on sale for like $5. It's normally, I think, like a $20 game, maybe. But it's really cool. I have enjoyed this game quite a bit since I purchased it. So yeah, when I start fishing, I'll talk about some of the awesome things I enjoy in this game. Okay, so I'm going to start out by switching my gear here. Oh, looks like I am using a float. I thought I was using a different kind of setup here. But yeah, I'll go over some of the things I like best about this game as I get into playing it. I gotta remember the controls again. It's been a little while since I've played the game. Okay, let's see. That's what it is. In this game, the right mouse button is not to, like, charge your cast. It's just to do a quick cast. So you've got to click the left mouse button and hold it until you feel like the throw is as strong as you want it. Now we can see in the bottom left corner are all the controls, and the reason I like this game is because of the camera it has. So, well, you got this hunter vision effect where you can see the fish in the water. But there's also a camera where you can see the bait under the water. Let me see if I could find that. Here we go. Yeah, that's it. So this fish is biting now, and I've got it hooked. So you've got like tension control with the mouse wheel, and then you can see your tension gauge here. If it gets too red for too long, your line will snap, and if the fish gets too far away, then you'll run out of line and the fish just gets away. But I really like that you can see the fish under the water. That's always been one of my most desired traits in a fishing game, is to be able to have a fish cam, and this game does it very well. I think the most fun I've had with a fishing game prior to this was a long time ago. I think it was Sega Bass Fishing on the Sega Genesis. But yeah, I really liked that game. Oh shit, I let the fish go. There's a button, I think, to not only change your reel tension or slack, but to change the rate at which you're reeling. And I've got to find what that button is. And I can also see I don't have any bait on my line here. Okay, so I'm reeling. R and F, okay. Yeah, so there's a gauge next to your reel, like in the bottom right. When it's at 100, there's no slack that gives out when the fish is pulling, but at 0, it doesn't fight back at all, really. And then this other gauge represents how fast you turn the reel as you're reeling in. Like if you were to do it slower, it would take you a lot longer to get the fish. So now that I've got the controls down, again, we can talk about some of the fun things to experience in this game. Let me go ahead and throw some bait on here. Go to baits, and we're going to use nothing in this starter area will eat these live baits, so let's use something a little more basic. We'll do the red worms. And with this large hook, you can equip 3 baits at the same time. Okay, that's not a bad size there. The bigger hooks you use, you'll hook bigger fish, but if your hook is too big for the fish in your area, then you won't catch any fish. They just won't bite it. So I think the size I have right now will catch some of the larger fish around. And yeah, I think the biggest fish here are the rainbow trout, and they're like, I don't know, maybe I don't remember the biggest size. It's been a little while since I played this game. I've been exploring like 3 different fishing games, which I'm going to touch on in this episode where we're reviewing them. But yeah, I kind of forget what the sizes are here. It's been a little bit, and I've been playing some other games, but it looks like we can see this big river trout coming up to check out what we got going on. And this is why I like the fish cam. Well, no, he wasn't looking at it. He just wanted to swim by. And my hook probably is a little too big, so I'm going to go ahead and reel it back and pick a smaller size here. And I've probably got the float length too long too. Well, no, it was still floating, so you want it to be kind of close to the bottom, I think. And you can see where your line is while you're in the water, so that's a good thing there. So I'm looking for a hook that has a max bait amount of 3. And this is the biggest size is a size 5 hook, so I think I'll use this hook. And I was using a size 8 hook, so yeah, the 5 will be more effective, I believe. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set up all 3 of my reels. You can cast 3 at a time, so yeah, why not do that? And one of them I'm going to have a feeder set up where you fish on the bottom of the body of water you're fishing in, and you can't use the fish cam with that type of fishing, but it's still a fun way to do it, and I'll show a little way you can get around that when I get these rods in the water. So again, this is my favorite fishing game I've played in 2022. Definitely really good graphics and quality of gameplay. I can't even put the graphics on high because my computer is not very powerful in this day and age. So yeah, I've got the settings on like 720p as far as the resolution, and I've got the graphics on medium here. So not the most spectacular capturing of the game, but you know, it's still good enough. It's not awful. I'm gonna pull up the chat just in case anyone's trying to chime in here. And again, we are watching the BlivCorp reviews of fishing games in 2022. Alright, I've got the game chat coming up. There we go. Now if anybody comes to say anything, I will be ready to respond. So yeah, I've got 3 rods here, all set up and ready to go. And let's actually get a fish. So this item is the rod pod, and it lets you leave your rods while you cast another rod. So I'm going to throw out some lines here, and then just kind of see what we got going on. It's a little deeper in this area than I thought, so let's pull that line back and make this float line length even longer. And I'll do that to the other bobber setup I've got as well. Okay. Alright, I'm ready to go. That wasn't quite a full strength cast, but that's okay. Now it's not quite on the bottom, but that's as far low as we can get it out there. So I'm going to let that hang out there and put it on the rack here. The U button lets you place the rod, and then I can show you what I'm talking about with this feeder bait setup. So it's got a little cage here that you shove some bait into, and it attracts fish along with the bait you've got on the hook. So I've got that out there, and like I said, you can't see where it is with the fish cam, but you know, if I didn't have a fish on here already, I could show you. You can see the fish cam of your floater setup and look at what your bottom rig is doing from the other fish cam. So that's kind of a way to work around the fact that you don't get that fish cam with the bottom fishing setup. So yeah, I think the biggest fish here are about 50 pounds. I'm starting to remember the sizes of fish you can pull in this game. I was playing with, like, you know, the rest of the world's measurements, the metric system, but I couldn't really get a feel of how big the fish were because, I've been indoctrinated to use the the other system of measurement with pounds and inches and all that. So I didn't cast in the spot that would let me see my other rod, but let me pull out rod number 3 here, and we'll try to get a look at what's going on over there. All right, so I'd say it's about right there that we casted that. Okay, no, I don't think we can. I can't see where it is, but if you aim your cast right, you can tell where your bottom rig is on the bottom of the pond here. I think I've got a fish on, is probably why I couldn't see it. I guess not. I think the bottom lines go out further, so I'll try to cast a bit of a weaker cast and see if I can scope it out with one of the fish cams of my floater setup. Alright, looks like we've got fish on the hook here. So it's not on this one. Alright, let's see what we got. Looks like we got a rainbow trout. So one thing I think you can do with the feeder setup that I've also referred to as the bottom setup is you can look at the fish cam after you hook the fish. So that's a cool thing. Okay, so this looks like a giant fish, but it's just 12 pounds. I think the rainbow trout can get up to 50 pounds out here. And with the Q button, you can reset your cast if you don't do it right. Oh man, there's no bait on here. What's up with that? Ran out of worms, I guess. So there is a really fun grind to this game also, like you unlock better gear and cash and new bait. But I've already done all that stuff, so we don't get to see that part of the game. What is going on here? Why is there no bait on this hook? Oh, that would explain it, because it's a different rod. What? What What's going on? Okay, I think that was a glitch there. Now there's bait on my hook, and I'm just going to go ahead and cast it out. Still can't see where the other setup is. Looks like I've got a fish on this other line. So I'm pretty sure this would be a lot harder normally, but I have some pretty sturdy gear. I've got like endgame gear pretty much. Close to endgame at least. So when you catch a fish in this game, you only get the option to sell it for currency, or you can release it and you get more experience that way. So I'm really at a point where the fish I can catch are a lot bigger and worth a lot more than the fish in this starting pond. So I could opt to just release them all and get that experience, but just being the type of person I am, if I were to pull a fish out of the water, I would probably want to be filleting it and eating it, so I just don't normally let them go, honestly. Alright. So yeah, you can pull in fish at a pretty good rate in this game. That's another fun thing. It's not quite as boring as one of the other games that I'm going to review here today. Alright, so I'm going to try to get a peek at the setup we got down here. Yeah, there you can see it. That little, up to the... I'm kind of trying to point the the worms in the direction, but that little glowing thing down there is my bottom bait, and you can kind of watch that one while you watch your feet floater setup, and that's one way to have a fish cam without, you know, having a fish cam. See, look at that. I just watched the bottom rod get a fish. And like I said, now you can see the fish cam when you have the fish hooked. So it's a little different than using the floats, but it's also another fun way to fish. So I like to use one bottom setup as well as the two floater setups. Okay, so that's a pretty big brown trout. Unfortunately, the brown trout, I guess, asset in the game, it always comes up a lot to the right. And I think when you catch a rainbow fish that's bigger, he'll hold it centered. But, yeah, one thing in the game is when your fish is pretty big, it will... he'll hold it out with two hands, but if you've got a smaller fish, he'll just hold it up on the line, and you'll see it that way. Man, this guy is... Like I was pulling that. It must have been a big fish there. Normally I don't lose the fish in this game, especially here in the beginner pond area. So it looks like I can actually see another line, but I can't see the end of that rig there. Oh, damn it. I was getting a little too much gusto there. Can't rely on my equipment not to break, even though it's pretty strong compared to these fish. Alright, so I'll probably catch one or two more fish and then move on to a bigger area. And we'll talk about another thing I really like in this game. Now there is another way to fish that I haven't been showing, and it's using lures. Like you can use different types of lures in the game, but I don't like to fish that way because it requires you to actually move the bait around in the water, and I like to just set it and forget it until I hear the bells jingle. Okay, so yeah, I think when I first started the game, I just never really used the tension setting and all the... Oh, it does still come out a little to the right here. So even the rainbow trout come off center when they're too big. And this one's 43 pounds, almost near that 50-pound limit of the fish size in this pond. So that's a pretty good catch. Yeah, like I was saying, the lures method of fishing is just too much work for me, so I tend not to use that setup in the game. How do I put the rod away? Let's see. It doesn't tell me that. Okay, I guess I just pick up another rod. So yeah, I really like the fish cam in the game, and I like that you can use this rack thing to store your rods. And there's one more thing I like a lot in the game, and it's the boats. So in the bigger maps, there are boats, and you can actually just cast your rig out there and put it on a rod holder on the boat. And that's pretty fun to do. So let me try to find the button to put this away. Okay, so yeah, you can place the rod stand or remove it, and yeah, this is a nice peaceful place, but I'm gonna go ahead and zip on over to another map. Right. So yeah, like I mentioned, there's boats in the game. And unfortunately, I can't fish my favorite type of fish in the game, which is salmon. I don't have any of the DLC. I was kind of strapped for cash when the game was on sale. So I had like the $5 to buy the game, but then I needed like another $10 probably for all the DLC. And I couldn't quite get together $15, unfortunately, at the time that this game was on sale. But yeah, this map here, so I can't fish for salmon, but I've always wanted to catch a marlin in a fishing game, so I pulled that off here in the Ultimate Fishing Simulator, and we'll see if we can get one before I move on to the next game. So yeah, like I mentioned, there's boats in the game, and with the bigger boats you get a... Well, I think all the boats actually have it. You get a fish finder. So the really big dots, like those two in front of me, are usually marlin. Okay. So I think if you're accelerating while you press R to switch over to fishing mode, your boat will still be going. And now I can switch over to my deep sea gear. So yeah, I'm not quite level 20, I'm just level 16, so I can't get a lot of the endgame lures here. And I mentioned I don't like to use lures, but I do when I'm fishing for marlin, because you can just kind of throw this out there and let it trail behind you. Okay. So yeah, even though this is using a lure, when you have a boat, you still can, use the lure, and you're actually luring the fish because the boat is moving and doing the work for you. And while you're trolling, you can actually move the boat and drive it. So I'm going to try to point us at some bigger fish here. Go toward that big one straight ahead. Alright. Okay, so that was kind of easy. It's a smaller... Okay. Smaller fish there. That's why it was so easy. Still a good size compared to the starting area, though. I didn't check what size hook I had, so I do want to equip the biggest size that I can put on here, because we're going for the bigger marlins. And I don't need a trail so far because the boat is pretty much doing the work here, and the closer it is when I catch it, the less I have to reel. Okay, so with the 2 rods on the boat, you can have 3 altogether because you can hold one. And then I just gotta hang out and listen for the bells ringing, and I'll know I have a fish. I'm trying to see if I can get a little higher on the boat, but looks like I'm limited to the back of the boat here. Another method I could do, which probably would be more effective, is to use live bait. Hey, there's a big marlin right there. I might get him on the hook. Yep. So this guy's going to be a lot harder to catch than that other fish I was reeling in. Camera started messing up there, but I'm still going to catch him. So, still haven't caught a marlin, but we'll keep trying. Let me switch over to the live bait sardines. I think is probably what we would be using, but I don't think it specifies what type of bait it is. So I'm going to put on the biggest hook I can find, but looks like I first have to put it on a float. Okay, so let me get a hook now. And we're just going to use the biggest size hook we can throw on there. And we'll do that to all 3 of our rods here. It's funny, it lets you equip 3 live baits here, because there's still only one on the hook when you throw it out in the water. I'm assuming what happens is you just end up using a bigger bait fish. It's probably what it's trying to say. And when I went fishing, I normally hooked the bait fish through the nose, but this one's getting it right in the middle of the body, which might actually be a better method, because when I did deep sea fishing, I often found that the seals would bite the bait off and just leave the head on the fish. So they probably knew there was a hook there, and they can just nibble off the backside of the fish and get a free meal off of my fishing efforts. Okay, so we're going to drop these lines just a little bit off the back of the boat here, and then we're going to troll for some more marlin. Alright, so we'll just hang out and wait for some kind of jingle sound of these bells here. Alright. So if you end up playing this game, the method I've learned to use for catching marlin is basically you have the line tension set to 0 when you first hook it, and then you just constantly hold the reel button until it turns red, and you just let go for a second to release a little bit of tension. And then at some point the fish will stop struggling so much and the line won't turn red so quick, and at that point you want to slowly start increasing your line tension to about 86, and then kind of use the same tension gauging process to pull the fish in. So this fish is struggling pretty hard, so I'm about to lose him probably. I think he's starting to, yeah, he's starting to stop struggling so much. So I should be able to get him a good bit closer to me. And usually when it's about 90 feet away or so, it'll start struggling again. But yeah, if you use that method I was talking about, you should be able to bring in a marlin yourself if you happen to hop on Ultimate Fishing Simulator with that goal. I really do want to buy the Greenland DLC. You can deep sea fish in Greenland as well as off the coast, and that's where the Atlantic salmon are, and that is my favorite fish species to eat. I've never caught one myself, but I would like to in real life as well as in this game. So I'll probably be purchasing that DLC one day soon, and we can do another stream where I review my experience there. So yeah, here he goes with that second burst of speed. Alright. So yeah, he's not going to struggle as hard as the first time when you get him there. But he will pull away on you. And by now I think the fish is tired. I should be able to bring him all the way up to the boat. And there we go. It's very small for a marlin. I mean, still, it's a 71-pound fish, which is pretty awesome. I've never caught anything that big myself. But yeah, we got a marlin. And let's go ahead and sell him. 71 pounds there. Not my biggest fish, but you get the idea. And yeah, I really dig this game. So yeah, one last thing I can do here. I guess I gotta leave the menu to get there. But there's like a trophy room. And we can just look at the biggest fish I've caught on the various maps here. Play some nice soft jazz while you're in here. Looks like my computer's having a bit of trouble showing off this room here. So there we go. That one is 533 pounds. I caught that bad boy on that same boat that we were on earlier. This one looks big, but it's just 83 pounds. And here's another big one. 479. $243. Here's another big fish, a 256-pound sturgeon. That was a fun one to get for the first time. So yeah, definitely a great fishing game. I like the aspect of going back to your cabin to look at all your fish on these plaques here. So that'll do it for Ultimate Fishing Simulator. As far as our review, I would give it 4 out of 5 stars if I were to rate it with a star rating. Looks like my stream is having a little trouble keeping up here. So I'm going to take a quick break and switch games, and hopefully my stream kind of catches up with itself and we don't have any technical difficulties to finish off these reviews. We'll be right back, and I just want to mention that I've got this new ad that's placed on the screen. It is for the BlivCorp.com website. I'd encourage all of you to go there and check out the unique merch that we have available with BlivCorp. I'll go more in depth and probably have some commercials down the line, but for now, just take a look at my ad here, and I'll be back shortly. Alright, we're back, and this time we're playing Russian Fishing 4. So this is another pretty solid fishing game. I do enjoy playing it. Not as much as Ultimate Fishing Simulator, which is why I mentioned that one was my favorite so far. But this is not a bad game at all. I don't have as much unlocked here. I'm still pretty much a novice fisherman in comparison to the profile on the Ultimate Fishing game I had. But, yeah, I don't have the skill to use a float with a reel at this point in the game. I've got to level up my float fishing skill to level 25 or 30 maybe even to use the setup that lets you have a float and a reel. So we've got a fish nibbling on this line here. So when you hold the rod, it does show you like a little bobber cam, but unfortunately this game doesn't have a fish cam, so you can't see the fish in the water at any point while you're fishing, unless it's right in front of you and you see it through the surface of the water by looking down, you know. So that's one pet peeve I have about this game. It is more realistic, but I like the fish cam. I think it's a cool part of fishing games. But yeah, this game is really solid as far as how it looks and feels. It's got the standard tension gauge thing that you see in most fishing games. And it's got a big depth to it, a lot to explore. But like I mentioned, I don't have the skill unlocked to use a reel with a float. So I've got to level up my float fishing from 27 to 30%, or 23.7 to 30%. So yeah, I've got a little ways to go there. And I can use a reel spin fishing with a lure, but like I mentioned previously, I don't prefer fishing that way because of the extra time you have to spend reeling. And I have unlocked the bottom fishing, which is very similar to the way it works in Ultimate Fishing Simulator. So yeah, it's got the same variety, but when you start, you are limited in your float fishing capabilities. And it takes quite some time to level up. So that was one thing I don't like about the game. But there is a lot of cool stuff going on here. Like you've got a hunger meter and a comfort meter, as well as stamina and health. I'm not sure how you lose health in the game, but you know, I have experienced getting hungry as well as being uncomfortable. So one way you can increase your hunger meter is by eating, and each fishing map has a spot where you can eat some food once a day for free. But once you do that, and if you still get hungry, you can buy food from a grocery store, which I think is right here in the map. And then some maps have like a produce market, like farmer's market you can shop at to get vegetables. And you can even take the vegetables and cut up potatoes into squares to make bait and whatnot. One really interesting thing in this game, which I can't even show you because I'm not advanced enough in level to do it, is you can take the fish you catch and turn them into a bait fish But you need the harvesting bait fish skill, which you have to level up to 65. And right now I'm at 5.3%. So currently, the only ways I have to level this harvesting bait stat up is to, like I mentioned, buy potatoes and cut them into cubes to use those as bait. And you probably won't even use those potato cubes, but you will be buying potatoes and cutting them to level up your harvesting bait skill if you do want to get to the level where you're making your fish into bait fish. So you can also buy bread and prepare it as wet bread bait. And then another way is to harvest worms. You can buy a shovel from the hardware store in the game, and as long as you have the stamina, you can dig in the ground and grab up some worms. And that's another way you can level up your bait harvesting skill. But getting to 65 is, I imagine, a pretty damn hard task. So, I'll show you real quick. You can't really dig that much because one dig pretty much just wipes out your stamina bar. But we did get, looks like a 0.2 plus to our bait harvesting level. I guess that's plus 0.2%, maybe? Which would be not bad, I guess. But we got 6 worms and 2 red worms from that. And look, my stamina meter is pretty much wiped out. So I've got to wait some time for that to fill up. And you have a space where you can see all the fish you've caught. So one difference in this game is that you can take your fish and, sell them in the fish market, or you can hold onto them for the purpose of making bait fish later, if you're advanced enough to do that. But like we just discovered, I am not at all. And then another thing you can do is take your fish and sell them at the cafe. And they have different orders, like they'll want 5 of a certain type of fish, and they offer significantly more money for the fish than the fish market does. So yeah, it's a big difference between Ultimate Fishing Simulator and Russian Fishing 4, is that you keep the fish you catch in Russian Fishing 4, you don't sell them on the spot, and you can also turn around and use those smaller fish you catch as bait fish to catch bigger fish, which is a really cool aspect. I would like to do that one day as a real fisherman, but I don't do too much fishing myself. I live only near freshwater, so I haven't been able to enjoy the cool saltwater fishing experience that I used to get when I lived in California. I was recently living in California. I didn't do any fishing while I was there, unfortunately. Would have been really awesome to get on a boat and try to catch myself some tuna. That's my second favorite type of fish, is tuna. At least, I guess it is. I don't know. Maybe I like a different fish better, but yeah, I like that you can eat salmon and tuna raw. I'm sure you can eat lots of other fish raw, but those ones I don't have so much of a problem sampling raw bits of that fish. And there's a bunch of other ways to eat both salmon and tuna. So, as far as fishing goes, catching salmon would be, somewhat of a dream for me. I'd love to do that. And behind that, I would say I would really like to catch a big tuna, an albacore or a yellowfin, maybe even a bluefin one day. That would be awesome, because bluefin get really big. But that's another fish that we can't catch in Ultimate Fishing Simulator. I think there is one variety of tuna. You might be able to get yellowfin with some of the DLC, but like I mentioned, I don't have the DLC for that game, and I'm not sure if there's even saltwater maps here in Russian Fishing 4. So this isn't like a full-fledged review. Obviously, I can't show you all the maps here because they're all locked out. Like to get here, I have to be level 12, but I think I'm like level 11 actually. Let's take a look. Yeah, I'm currently level 11, so that's not too far away. And I'll be able to go to Oldberg Lake. Okay, so this archipelago is probably, I would say this is saltwater fishing, but, you know, I could be wrong. It could be an archipelago in a giant lake, because it looks like all of these are rivers, lakes, and ponds in Russian Fishing 4. I'm guessing these are based on Russian locations. There's a lot of cool little bits of the game, like if you were to read some of the item descriptions, they seem quite Russian in the descriptions. Let's go to the grocery store, and I can see if I can find you one of the funny descriptions I read while playing this game. Okay, so if you get onto the beers here, yeah, it says the Lapshin Brewery Enterprise belongs to the so-called multi-enterprise or multi-industry enterprise category. Besides beer, it produces rubber shoes and uranium enrichment devices. So that just seems like a very Russian thing, a company to not only make beer, but also rubber shoes and uranium enrichment devices. Yeah, not too many companies doing those three things here in my country. And that could just be a joke for all we know, but I thought it was funny. Another thing you'll notice is the fish bite way slower in this game. We got one here. And like I mentioned, I don't have a reel, so with these ones you just kind of lift them up out of the water. But we've got a 213 gram perch, so we'll keep that. And I don't think in Russian Fishing 4 you can set measurements to anything but the metric system, because that's what they use in Russia. But I could be wrong, so let's take a look here. Yeah, I don't think there's a mode for that. That's another benefit of Ultimate Fishing Simulator, is that you do get the option to use the metric or imperial systems of measurement, which I appreciated, because like I said, you tell me you got a 500 gram fish, and I have no idea how big that is in my mind. I think 500 grams is like half a kilo, and I don't know how much of a kilo is the conversion to a pound, so I can't really grasp in my head what a 500 kilo fish, 500 gram fish would look like. I guess I can, because I hear a kilo and I just picture like a brick of cocaine. If you can imagine like a half brick of cocaine, then that's probably what a 500 gram fish looks like. It's about the size of a half brick of cocaine. And probably if you cut it, like if it was a rectangular brick, if you cut it in half through the center long ways, would probably be the same dimensions, just about, of this 500-gram fish we're trying to imagine. But still, I don't have to do all that crazy thought process to picture, a half-pound fish, or, a pound fish. Like a half-pound fish is probably just the size of like a patty on a quarter pounder, McDonald's or something. Obviously a little bigger because those dehydrate when you cook them. But anyway, yeah, this is Russian Fishing 4, and I'd be playing for hours and hours and hours if I tried to, really unlock some of the stuff in the game here. So yeah, we saw the fishing with the float. And like I said, there are other ways to fish, but right now I'm really trying to level up this float fishing. But we caught a fish already, so I think I'm just going to pack it on up here, because yeah, it takes forever to catch fish in this game, like I mentioned. So if I were to rate this game, Russian Fishing 4, I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. Mainly for the reasons that it takes a long time to catch fish, and you have to grind super long to level up and unlock new things. And additionally, there's no fish cam. Yeah, and that's kind of it. Otherwise, it's a pretty dang solid game. I enjoy it. One day I probably will unlock the next map, as well as the ability to use a reel while using a float. But for now, I've got to keep using this telescopic rod with no reel until I level up to level 30, or 30% of the float fishing skill tree. And it's going to take quite a long time for the baits as well. And yeah, you can even cook. You can unlock the ability to make a fish soup at the end of the game. And that would probably take a long time to get there. Right now I can just make dried fish, baked potatoes, and then to make tea or coffee you gotta buy the tea kettle, as well as hot cocoa. And you probably need some kind of pan to make a boiled egg, or these other things. So I've only been making baked potatoes and dried fish so far. But yeah, this is a fun game, a lot to do here. So we'll take another break, and I'll get into the third fishing game I want to review that I've played in 2022. And this is BlivCorp Reviews Fishing Games. Of course, like I mentioned, in 2022. So after a quick break, take a look at the BlivCorp advertisement here. Do go to blivcorp.com. We would appreciate your, web hits. And you can see our catalog of merch we have available. There are Chinese Zhao flutes that I make. A really sleek black gloss design. I haven't yet posted the ad on the website to go ahead and purchase those. I've only made 2 so far, but yeah, you'll be able to see the 2 black flutes I've made, and I will list them here pretty soon for purchase. But I also have a lot of necklaces, like this one here, similar to this one. It's an obsidian crystal necklace wrapped in silver. The crystals I use for the ones I make quite a bit of are a little smaller than the crystal I'm wearing now. But I think it's more of a universal size, because these big crystals might not be appealing to, females. Maybe they'll want a smaller profile charm on their neck. So I think the other ones are more universally, compatible. And yeah, we've got some other stuff there too. little bow and arrows made out of chopsticks that I really enjoy making and playing with. But yeah, take a look at our stuff here, and we'll be back to showcase this last fishing game in a few moments. Alright, I'm back, and we are looking at the third fishing game that BlivCorp is reviewing here in 2022. And this is not quite a fishing game so much as a open world Western experience. This is Red Dead Online, which is basically Red Dead Redemption 2, but in an online format similar to GTA Online. But yeah, we'll take a look here. We can do float fishing with various baits, or we can do lure fishing, but I prefer float fishing, so let's just try some worms here and see if these fish want some worms. So this is a fun fishing game. There are different spots you can fish, whether you're in the lake, rivers, or the swamp. So yeah, it's a lot simpler of a game. Not as much going on here. And it's a little different than the fishing games we saw earlier. This one doesn't really have a tension gauge. You can just kind of see how much the fish is struggling and how much your rod is bending. And they want you to stop reeling and kind of wrangle the fish with your rod when it starts struggling by moving left or right, opposite direction you see the fish moving. So once you hook the fish, we can see here he's struggling now, but he stopped. So you can reel with spacebar and increase your reel speed with R. So I'll keep doing that. And now that it's struggling, you want to stop reeling and try to wrangle this fish into a less wild swimming pattern. There we go, he's struggling again, so we're gonna move the rod until he stops. And you just do that by moving your mouse around. And there we go, we got him. Not too difficult, a scrawny little fish there. So yeah, there are a lot bigger fish in the game. I haven't really done a whole lot of fishing in Red Dead Online. I've been doing more hunting. I'll be honest, I I got my fill of fishing playing Ultimate Fishing Simulator. I would like the DLC to catch the other fish available, but yeah, I did want to experience the fishing that Red Dead had online, had available. And the main reason I bought this game was for the hunting, because I really want the game Way of the Hunter, but I can't quite afford to make that purchase yet. So Red Dead Online was pretty cheap. A couple weeks ago I got it for $10, which was a steal, because this game is pretty fun. I've had a lot of fun hunting and doing a little fishing here and there. Most recently playing some Texas Hold'em poker with other players online. So yeah, quite a lot to experience for just a $10 purchase, and definitely glad I went ahead and bought the game when it was on sale. But yeah, if I were to use the special lake lure, I would probably be catching bigger fish right now. So let's go ahead and throw one of those out there just because. The special river lure, I mean to say. And like I mentioned, this one requires more as far as your angling, effort. You got to constantly reel the lure in. So I've got the special river lure here, and slowly reeling in, and we're going to wait for a bite. So like I said, it's a little more involved than fishing with a float, but still, it's not that bad. And yeah, like I said, there are a lot bigger fish to catch in the game, and I haven't explored the different areas thoroughly enough to make that happen. I've got a snake here heading toward me, and I really hope it doesn't interfere with my fishing. But yeah, I definitely could go out and fish in the ponds and the swamp and the lake and see a little more of what the game has to offer. Try to catch some bigger fish. And I think there's some legendary fish out there that are probably quite big. This one might be a little bigger than the fish I've been catching. It is putting up a good bit of a fight here. So this might be the biggest fish I've caught in the game so far. It's definitely given me a bit of a workout here. We got him pretty close. Damn, that's a big boy. Yeah, I haven't caught a fish that big before. That's fun. He grunted picking that thing up. Damn. 14-pound channel catfish. That looks a lot bigger than 14 pounds, I'll say. But hell, I like it. That was fun. So let's go ahead and keep him. I have to actually put it on the horse. That's awesome. I've never caught a fish so big I had to store it on the horse. So that's exciting. I do want to do this like a lot more now that I've caught a big fish. But I'm going to go back to camp and donate this fish to my camp partner that makes various goods from the donations I give him. And that's how I make money in this game. But yeah, that really increases the immersion of the fishing for me, that I have to put it on my horse because I can't catch like 10 big fish because I'll be stuck with a bunch of big fish that I don't know where to put them. So let's pick this bad boy up and take him to our guy. What's up, Crips? I've got to find the butcher table to make this transaction happen. Every time you move your camp, it's in a different arrangement, which kind of gives you a nice feel of, that you actually moved somewhere different.
Docks are looking good.
Oh shit. I can't even donate this fish to him. So what do I do with it? Can I skin it? Nope. I don't know if I need like a fillet knife or something, or if I just need to sell it to the butcher. But, I'll have to look into that stuff. It does seem there's a lot more to explore here. So I guess as far as fishing, I was going to rate this 3 out of 5, but I think that's not fair. I do have to look more into the game, and it just got better for me just now, so I might give it a 4 out of 5. But I'll hold off on that review and not make it official, because, like I said, I do have to do more. I don't even know what to do with this fish now that I've caught it. But I'm going to take it to the butcher, and I'll probably just be able to sell it to him whole. I would like to know if I can, process the fish and throw it in a stew or something, but I'll probably Google that later. So we'll give it a tentative 4 out of 5 stars for the fishing, depending on what happens when I go to the butcher here. And, I do got a lot more to learn about this game. But I was kind of disappointed. There was one more game I would like to be reviewing, but I decided to pass on it. And that is Call of the Wild, the Angler, that came out recently. But I've just been hearing a lot of negative things in the reviews, so I didn't even bother with trying to make that purchase. And I've heard the Call of the Wild, the Hunter, was a really good game, so it's kind of disappointing to hear that. But like I mentioned, I really want the game Way of the Hunter, so... damn,
Fine horse you got there.
I still have a bounty that carried over to, like, my next game session. That's crazy. Let me see if I can make a run for the post office and clear that bounty before any guards try to shoot me. One thing I will say about this game is I feel like Rockstar goes to pretty good lengths to try to make money off of you, tempting you to buy the gold bars. You have to grind pretty hard to get enough gold bars to do a lot of the online businesses and stuff that are, the main part of the gameplay here. And the crime and punishment system is weird. Like, I feel like you don't get as much of an impact on your honor system. Like, I've done some questionable things in the game here, and still have maximum positive honor. Damn, I think my game effects are too loud. Let me turn that down. I'm going to turn the volume down in my headphones too. I feel like I was struggling to process my own words there. So I have to go to the post office to clear my bounty before I'm able to sell this fish I've got. Alright, now I can head on over to the butcher. I'm really fond of my horse I just bought. It's a white horse. I always go for the white or black horses when you can, you know, choose in the games. Damn it. You motherfucker. And that's another thing of playing online, is that you can just get murdered while you're trying to do little tasks in the game. Alright. Let's see if I can get this to the butcher without getting butchered myself. My horse is downed. I don't have any horse reviver, so we're just going to leave him there suffering, unfortunately.
Hello, you look hungry.
Alright. Hey, that catfish is worth $5. Not bad.
Deal. Okay. Dime a dozen these days. Done. Deal. Done. Lucky this is popular, how common it is.
Alright, so yeah. Red Dead Online gets a tentative 4 out of 5 stars for the fishing in the game. It still is worthy, which is pretty impressive, of being on this list of fishing games, just because of what it offers. You know, it's a full game in itself, the fishing that you can do, but there's so much more, and that's a cool aspect of this particular game. And yeah, I was just talking about the fishing there in the review. So I like that you have to take the bigger fish and sell them one at a time. Unless you have the hunting wagon. I bet I could store a bunch of fish in the hunting wagon, which is probably the way to go. I can just pull up that wagon on the coast and stuff it full of big fish, and then take that on over to the butcher and make all my transactions at once. So yeah, that's a fun aspect to it. A little managing along with the fishing. Ultimate Fishing Simulator, while it does have the best mechanics of fishing as far as casting and reeling and the fish cam and all that, it doesn't offer much else. It's still the best fishing game I've played, but you know, I would like more to do with the fish I catch other than just selling them or releasing them on the spot. But still, we've got 2 games here that get 4 out of 5. I would recommend playing Red Dead Online or Red Dead Redemption 2 for the fishing, and I bet you that the fishing in Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably better than the online experience. But as far as I'm concerned, I just like that you can customize your character and make it look like you. You can't do that with the story mode, I've never actually played too much of Grand Theft Auto Online or Red Dead Redemption 2. I prefer the online experience, so I've only played these games in their online versions. But yeah, I kind of got off topic there. I mentioned we've played several fishing games. Red Dead Online, 4 out of 5 stars for fishing. And Ultimate Fishing Simulator, my top pick, was 4 out of 5 stars as well. For some great fishing simulating experiences there. Really love that there's a fish cam, and just the graphics and the tension and rod mechanics. It all feels really solid. And then with 3 stars, we've got Russian Fishing 4. I really like the depth of the game itself and the variation in what you can do as far as fishing and your gear and what you do, as a fisherman. You have to eat and make sure you're comfortable and all that, as well as level up skills. So that's a great depth that it's got. But the drawbacks still lead me to give it a 3 out of 5 due to the long grind it requires to unlock everything, as well as the lack of fish cam, and there might be some other things, but those were the big ones for me. I'm still going to play the game because I do want to get that reel. I'm pretty close to being able to fish with a float and a reel, so I will be doing that, but I don't know how much more I'll do. I do want to see if there's some salmon I can catch in the game. If there are, then I might level up to that point as well. But I definitely want to get the DLC to fish salmon in Ultimate Fishing Simulator. And I still do have to check out Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2. It is in beta, and I haven't gotten my hands on that game yet, but I imagine it is just as fun. Maybe not having as much content yet because it's in beta, but that's something to look forward to in the future. But for now, this was the BlivCorp review of fishing games in 2022. There are many options for you as a gamer when it comes to fishing. A lot of games have fishing built in as a side piece of the game. We could talk about a lot of those, but I just went with the best ones that have solid fishing involved in the game. I will do some side notes here. I liked the fishing in Terraria. It was, a 2D experience and not very in-depth, but I just like the fact that you can make potions that then increase your fishing abilities. There's this sonar potion you craft, and that allows you to see what kind of fish is biting on your line. And although not realistic, if you didn't want that fish, you can just let it keep biting and it'll go away. And the next bite you get will be a different fish. And when you see the item you want, whether it be a fish species or something else you're pulling up out of the water, you just wait after taking the sonar potion. And when you see your preferred loot, then you can just pull in the line and grab that fish. So not realistic, but still fun in itself. And there's also been fishing in Elder Scrolls Online, as well as in Skyrim, and so many other games, honestly. But this was the top 3 that I would choose if you were trying to play a fishing game and you haven't for quite some time. This is the experience I recently went through when I had the urge to fish and not leave the house at the same time. So yeah, I've got the most fulfillment from Ultimate Fishing Simulator. Definitely recommend that game. And that'll do it for BlivCorp's review. So thank you for watching.